we have clear vision about where we're going. So here we are, we're all on crew. And I talk about talents, right? Because talents are the superpower. I'm not using the word role. I am not talking about what people's job is. If you get nothing out of what I'm going to say next, that's the one thing I want you to get. I am not talking about people's roles. I am not talking about what makes a great captain a great captain. I'm not talking what makes a great cook, or the first mate, or all the people on deck, right? When you are going through change, roles change, jobs change, right? And people have different talents that maybe they weren't using before that they can bring to this process. So the question is, how can we look through what's on board in terms of talents and not roles, right? How can we tap into those superpowers? All right, here's my bias. I just want to get it right out there, right? I am asset-based. I am strengths-based. All the work I do is around identifying and building on strengths, right? And the rationale is that when you invest in what you do well, you can be awesome. When you invest in what you don't do well, you might make it, but it is not going to be awesome. Okay. It doesn't mean that you ignore weaknesses. I want to be clear about that. You manage the weaknesses, right? Our own, each other's, right? But what you really do is really, really think about what are people's talents, which is their raw talent. And in the Gallup world, we call strengths is when you apply that talent intentionally to get better at it. Okay. I am Gallup certified. I'm a big fan of that. I have sent you in the resources. There's a list of comparisons of other assessments. It's the assessment I use. Another strengths-based assessment is VIA. And then there's others that people use, right? So whatever you use, I'm not making a case for Gallup, but I am making a case for understanding your team's talents, starting with your own. Okay. When you are using your talents, when you are already in flow, and when you are in flow, your own energy will follow, right? And I think we've all had that experience. When we are doing something really, really well, we can feel it, right? You lose track of time. You feel like you could do this forever. Things are clicking and making sense. And that's because you're using whatever your inherent talents are. And you might be doing it intentionally, or that might be your way in to understand how you do have those talents, okay? So when you understand what talents you have on your team, and there's a couple questions, and you can do this for free as well, right? It's that it gives you some clear tools on dealing with change. It points you to untapped potential. It could be that someone who's in a role, who's doing their role, might have some particular talents. They might be someone who's really good at experimenting, at testing new ideas. There might be someone who's sitting in a role, but they're maybe very analytical. Maybe they pay very close attention to data points. It's important as a leader to know what those talents are, so that in the dynamic of change, you can bring those talents to bear. The other really important reason for using either talents or strengths or any assessment is that you have shared language. Biggest challenge in change is miscommunication. when you have shared language about what you can or can't do, or what you hope to do, I should say, right? It really helps deal with the change itself. Okay, so when there's a shared language, and I've seen this really be incredibly effective, it supports diversity, it supports really effective communication, it supports collaboration, and importantly, because it's asset-based, and I should have put this in bold, it supports a positive work environment, which is one of the hardest things to maintain during change. Because when you are talking about assets, you are actually talking what people have, not what they don't have, right? And you were talking about talents that they can bring to bear. I'm going to stop sharing here, make sure. Does any clarifying questions on that? Does that make sense? Talents. And there's, and you can identify this in each other. You can take assessments, there's free ones, all of that good stuff. Okay, great. All right. Going back here. Wonderful. All right. Oh, there it is. Okay. Now, we are going to take 5 minutes on this so that we have time for the summary and Q&A, right? I would love everyone to come off screen, or you can do it in pairs. This is part of the workshop, okay? All right. And what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to give you 5 minutes, and you are going to go through, there's going to be questions on the screen. All right, I'm going to put them right up now. And this is a guided conversation, okay? I want you to each take a turn for a couple minutes. The first person says, tell me, what do you know about the change in your organization? And then the person who answers responds. You've written it down, right? You've written it down. You can read those notes or you can reinterpret them. There's a reason why we're doing this. So I just want you to trust me in this, okay? Then the person who's asking says, tell me how you feel about that change. And the person who's responding, be specific. Could be 1 or 2 words, right? But, try to get beyond happy, mad, or sad. Search for some nuance, okay? Then the person's going to ask, is there a talent that either you have or someone on your team has that you think might be might be worth trying to address this change, or maybe I can lean on to address this change? And then if there's time, what would applying that talent look like? Okay, are you ready to get into pairs? Okay, Dennis is going to go ahead. These are random. Your conversations, I am going to ask for people to share a little bit after, but I want you to keep the conversations confidential. You are trusting each other. You are going to have 2.5 minutes each. So go ahead and join your room, and we'll be back and talk about it.
Okay, do I need to join them, or do they join themselves?
They join themselves. I think are they all clicking into rooms?
Many are.
Yeah. Are people not clicking into rooms? They can join me. People want to join me? Oh, they're clicking. Great. And then, so we've got 139. And then what I'm going to have you do at 141, you can send a note to them.
Vina, are you going to click into a room?
I'm not sure how to do that.
Oh, okay. And is it Dana or Dana?
Dana.
Hi, Dana. Did you want to click into a room, or did you want to talk with me?
No, I just clicked into a room and nobody was there for a while, and then I
Oh.
realized your list wasn't accessible there. So,
Well, you know what? Let me put, okay. we
I can
put-
try joining the breakout room again. I just stopped in here to get the list. and
Yeah,
write
you
it
were in
down.
room, yeah, why don't you go to room 4?
Okay.
And then let's see. And then, Vina, you're supposed to be in room 1.
Okay, but I don't know how to be in that room.
Oh, okay. And then we have Christy.
Yeah, I came back because there was nobody in my room with me. So I was just alone.
What room were you in? Do you
I
remember?
was in 7.
In 7.
7.
So let me see if I can move you.
You can-
And there's Alyssa.
I was just in a room all by myself, so I came back. It was a little lonely.
I know. So what I'm trying to figure out is how we can get, you are not showing up. Hold on, let me get, so who's in room 6? So there's Alyssa. Christy, I'm going to move you into Alyssa's room.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So I'm going to move you into room 6. You guys can go jump in there.
All right. Let's see if
Okay.
that works. Join.
Okay.
And then, wonderful. And then who do we have? We have, okay. And then I'm going to move, Vina, I'm going to move you to room 4.
Okay,
There you
but
go.
how do I know I'm in room 4? That's my challenge. I've never done that, so I'm not sure how to move.
Did it
into
jump
the room.
up on your screen?
Oh, okay.
Did it jump up?
No.
All right, I'm going to move you to room. Okay, Dana, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm going to move you to room 1, Dana. There you go.
Thank you.
All right. Vina, you can stay with me.
Okay.
All right. So do you want to go ahead and share? Do you want me to, I'll ask you the questions?
Okay.
Yeah. So tell me, what is the change?
What is the change?
Yeah, in your organization?
In my organization is really helping visually aid become independent. So visually impaired people, they need help to lead an independent life. So that's where we want to enable, empower, and educate them to lead an independent life with dignity.
Great.
May I break in for just a half a
Sure.
second? I'm looking at the room assignments, and
Yeah.
what I'm seeing is it looks like Gail is alone in room 9 and Joelle is alone in room 10. Is that correct?
Hold on, let me just see. Oh yeah, I'm going to move. So a bunch of people didn't go, huh, okay.
So actually, I had written what the change means. It's like, you adopt with the circumstances is what the change means to me.
Okay. And how do you feel about it?
I think we have a constant change in any organization because things change, circumstances change. So, you have to adapt to those circumstances, or, there are new innovations or new technology. So you really have to adapt to all of those changes.
Yeah. But how do you feel about that?
How do I feel about it?
Yeah.
I feel energetic and
Okay.
engaged.
Great. And then just last but not least, Did you identify a talent that you have that you could bring to this?
Yes, so, I feel we can, bring in diversity and bring in people who have different skill set. So are you asking I have that talent?
Yeah,
or
I'm curious, what's a talent that you have that you think would be really great to help with this change?
Communication and
Great.
sharing information.
Great. So your ability to tell the story and make the case.
Right.
Great. All right. Great. All right, I'm just going to send a note. I'm going to hold on one second here. The rooms are going to break out in a minute and everyone's going to come back. They're going to start popping in. Leora, were you all alone?
No, I was with someone else and I hit I do these sessions professionally and I hit the buzzer and I left while I was talking. So that's unfortunate. I'll apologize when I say
Well, there were some people who were alone. Hi, Vina, it's good to see you.
To see you. Thank you.
Yeah. I do that too. Am I saying it right, Leora? Yeah, okay, great. All right, people will come back. And then we're just
So
gonna
how do you go to the room? I wanted to know.
yeah, it pops up.
Oh,
Leora.
it didn't pop up for me at all.
Huh, that's strange.
Yeah.
We didn't get to finish our conversation, Leora. I'm so sorry.
Here we are.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I hit the buzzer by accident.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Like Jeopardy, hit that buzzer right away. Right?
Okay, great. So is there a pair that would be willing to debrief a little bit? Share a little bit with questions from me?
We didn't have enough time to finish, so.
Okay,
No,
all right.
Yeah,
Well, Ellen, who went first in your group, in your pairing?
I did.
Okay, so tell me this, how did it feel to talk about this?
Good. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you were talking out loud, were you finding any ideas as you were talking about what you'd been thinking about? Did any ideas start to percolate?
Maybe.
Not enough time.
Probably not, because I've already accepted the change a while ago, so maybe, yeah. So I've had a while to get used to the change.
Okay. Anybody else really enjoy and kind of get some value out of talking about it?
I had an aha in talking to Leora. And it was, she asked a great question about the people I'm working with having technical ability and having the ability to, in the crew, to really make this happen. And it made me think everyone I'm thinking of has technical ability, like really skilled, really on top of their game, really great at what they do. Fewer of them, I'm guessing, have the ability to sort of rise up out of the daily and think forward and think, like the captain of a ship kind of thing, but captains need sub-captains or whatever those folks are called. And I had not thought about the folks I work with in the way of who's got the ability, or if I have some of that foresight, how do I share that? Because I'm not a senior person in this one area. I do a couple things for work, but in one area I'm not. So it was an aha to me about really appreciating people's technical skills, but really appreciating fewer people have the ability to do what we're doing here, talk about and accept change and navigate through it, like lean into it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Anyone else want to share?
So Dora and I were talking about Dora's very new to her board, and I'm semi-new to my position as executive director of a small nonprofit. And we were talking about not really knowing the board members and going through an assessment. And we both agreed that that was something that we want to bring to the boards.
When you say assessment, do you mean an organizational assessment or talent assessment?
Talent assessment.
Yeah.
assessment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
let's meet each other.
Yeah, and let me ask you, and talent assessment with the board.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That, wow, that's awesome to do it with the board. I've done it with the board. It really strips back from the roles that they think that they're playing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's also true for teams. Great. So you're probably like, okay, I'm going to share the screen one more time, then we're going right to Q&A, right? So we have the breakout pairs, we've debriefed on that. And what is this about, right? So I'm bringing you through the beginning of what this model looks like. This is completely informed with all the work that I've done and the readings I've done and all that kind of stuff. And I tried to get, you know, Spanky with 4 eyes: to inquire, to ideate, to iterate, and inform, right? We have the stars you'll notice in the middle, the crew you'll notice in the middle, right? But we did inquire, and I just want to go around this just briefly. You have to start with how people are feeling and doing. There's a reason why I didn't ask you what you think about change. I want to know how you feel about it. Vina, super excited about change. I love change. I have learned the hard way, not everyone does. Getting nuance and understanding about where people are starting, super important, especially when you're leading, right? Ideation, what can we do together, right? In coaching conversations, which is what you all just had with each other, right? You were going through a series of funnel of questions that were intentionally mapped out to get you to a place of an aha, potentially. Of course, you only had 2.5 minutes. I'm confident if you had 20 minutes, you all would have had some pretty interesting insights. But the idea is, what can we do together? Great thing you can do with the team. You can incorporate this into a regular staff meeting. You could bring it into a board retreat, a team retreat, an executive lunch, whatever it looks like. Iterate, right? So once you figure out an idea you want to try in response to change, right? You try it, right? And then you figure out, how can we improve on this together, right? It's creating the conditions for that and how to share learning. That's the whole model. What I really wanted to do was give you a way into that process, right? By really understanding how important it is to have your values and your vision and understanding the talents, right, that are going to help you through that change cycle. All right. And then these are some of the coaching questions. They're in the handout for you. This is what we talked about. Change, you got to learn how to channel it. It's not controlling it. Change is where learning happens. Values and vision, these are unchanging and they are understood. Bank on them. Hold them like they are tangible. Make them as real as the table that you're sitting at, the chair you're sitting on, right? Strengths, it's the capacity in the talent, not the role. You are going to find things that you had no idea that are going to be in service of whatever adaptation you do, right? And then this model of adaptation, okay? And then there are, let's get into Q&A, but these are some of the resources that you'll get in the handout, okay? So don't worry about that, that'll be sent to you, okay? We've got time for Q&A. Who has a question? I guess we can look in the chat. Someone about assessment. I'm a big Gallup fan because I like Gallup because it's strength-based. The other one people use is VIA. They're a little bit different. Gallup is more about work. VIA is also about life. But those are good. People do Myers-Briggs. I find that gets stuck in a polarity. You know, it's sort of like very, you either have more of this or more of that. So I like the nuance that strengths does. And I also think it gives you great language. What are some other questions people have?
Do you have any advice for how to engage reluctant board members or reluctant staff in thinking about and talking about and working on this together?
Yeah. So I think it is very hard to force someone to embrace change, right? Directly. You have to create the conditions for it. I find there's the Fisher curve, which is one of the resources I shared, sort of, it's like a map of grief, except it's all the emotions people go through change. And it's pretty hilarious because it's like excited, afraid, devastated, and it kind of goes like this. And my experience has been everybody comes in at a different point. Like grief, nobody experiences it the same way. And so the two really important things is, one, really ask people what they are feeling, right? And they have to trust you or trust the person that they're sharing this with, right? And the response isn't, it's going to be easy, I don't want you to worry about it. The response is, it is hard, and we are going to still talk about it, right? The thing that I like about a strengths-based assessment is that it's positive in and of itself. People feel really good when they understand what their talents are. And it gives them agency in a way that being told what to do does not, right? So you're looking for ways for people to have agency individually and collectively when you identify talents. Does that help, Mari? Did I get, okay, good. And Alyssa?
Yeah, I think I'm really interested, considering we've been going through the pandemic, that what happens in crisis change, where, okay, you've identified talent, your job has changed, and you are, and you're going through those motions of doing something different, and then figuring out, is this something that's like, what kind of assessment do you do to figure out if you're just going to continue doing this or going back to part of what you did before? I think like that's sort of what's been happening over the last year with some organizations, is things are get back to normal and then they don't. And so how do you manage that ebb and flow?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And so our conversation today was really trying to get people prepared for that process, right? And that process is, you are going to need things like, you are going to need data and information on the past year, right? You are going to need to create space to have conversations, frank conversations, hard conversations about what worked, what didn't work, right? And then I think you need to adapt and test what you think might go going forward, right? So one of the things that I've done, and it's not for everyone, there is strategic planning, right? And then there's a process of strategic thinking. But you need a board on board with that, right? Which is the ability to have a set of principles by which they vet and make decisions by. That includes values, includes audience, includes revenue, and how it really aligns with the vision, mission, and intended impact, right? So, I think if your team is already like asking these questions, my question would be for you, how can you make some space for them to test out some different scenarios about what's next?
Okay.
Like some small program ideas, maybe, I'm just guessing, right? But in a way that they can test it. And then the question is, what do they learn from it? Right.
Interesting.
And then the big question for you is, how do you celebrate when they fail?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we could talk about this for hours, I think, right? Carlene, am I saying your name?
You are.
Okay.
And I appreciate, thank you for allowing me to be off camera because I'm multitasking here. Question around change fatigue and how you address change fatigue within organizations. Any insight in what we might do in that area?
Is it change fatigue based on because people are making one decision and then changing that decision? Or is it, can you tell me a little bit more?
Sure. So there are, like, different types of changes, whether it's technology, new technology that people are having to learn. So I think during the pandemic, people who did not have to use technology for virtual meetings and things had to
Right.
learn these skills.
Right.
Had to switch over to virtual platforms. The technology keeps changing. Like the change what Alyssa just talked about of going back to the normal and
Yeah.
oh no, now we're not going back to normal. Now we're going to go into something different. We don't know what
Yeah.
we're doing. That sort of
Okay.
thing.
So, part of this is that, and the reason why I think this conversation is important is that change is here, right? And so if we think about a change as being done, and then we can take a break and move on to the next piece, then we will be exhausted, right? So it's reframing a little bit about where are people learning? And how is the learning being supported, right? And having, I think, a pretty open conversation about what is hard about change and letting that happen. It's a big question though. And there's, so one thing I would recommend is looking up work that has to do with wellness at work, because I think a big part of the exhaustion at work is because of other factors, right? Including, people's, health, isolation, living and working from home, etc. Sorry, I can't give a better answer given the time and given that's a rich subject.
Okay. Well, Siobhan, there's so much to think about. This has been thought-provoking to say the least. I just want to A, thank you, and B, for those who are not aware, one of our participants this afternoon, Mary, was our speaker in December, and another of our participants, Leora, will be our speaker in May. So the circularity of it is interesting. Speakers listening to speakers and speaking to speakers and so forth. Anyway, we thank everyone for attending. Before you leave, I want to talk to you about your feedback. It's so important to us and to Siobhan. And we're going to mail you by email a link to our satisfaction survey, also some of the documents and slides that Siobhan has mentioned. And also, please remember that hundreds of organizations have benefited from our Zoominars, and the way we keep them open to everyone without charge is with your financial support. So please consider making a gift to us, $10, $20, whatever it might be. And again, those links will be in the email that you'll receive afterwards. Looking forward to our next Zoominar. If the best way to ask for a gift is in person, how do you do it in the age of COVID? Well, this upcoming session is going to show you some techniques for setting up donor visits, whether in person or virtual, and 2 ways to make the ask. And you'll learn from one of our most popular speakers, Major Gifts guru, Diane Remen. So that's Tuesday, March 15th from 1 to 2 p.m. And we hope to see you then. So thank you all. I'm going to ask Siobhan if you'll hang back so we can just kind of close things up and bid everyone else adieu. Thank you. We hope to see you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I think you're going to have to let yourselves out.
Gail
no.
wants another debrief.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might be able to.
Okay, I think I can help you, Gail. I'm good. Oh,
Oh, there we go.
There she goes.
Oh, no. Hold on.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
down. Hold on. Oh, she's gone. Great.
Yeah, I did that. Anyway, I thought that went pretty well. How do you feel?
Yeah, It's a lot of information
Oh,
and it's
boy,
a
is it.
pretty abstract topic. And I just really wanted to encourage and introduce kind of a coaching approach, so and really get, as well as being tangible. So yeah, I thought it went okay. It's just hard on Zoom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 I mean, in a way, it just scratches the surface, but that's what the course level 101 is intended for.
Yeah. And I think, one of the things, is that, people get like, if this had been a half day, we really would have had,
Yeah,
people could have, been in more dialogue together and really created some plans and strategies, that didn't happen. So
no, I
it's
have
okay.
to admit,
It was an hour. It wasn't supposed to happen.
right.
Yeah.
I have to admit to something.
Yeah.
Despite the fact, these are my notes and whatnot.
Yeah.
Right at the beginning of the intro, it's a note to myself to push the record button.
I know, it was halfway through. I
It
saw
was
that.
halfway through, yeah.
It's all right.
So
it.
hopefully that with the slides, if anyone does need it afterwards, they can kind of cobble it together. But
Yeah. And feel free to
geez.
share that PDF that I sent you.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm referring to.
Great. Yeah.
We're going to send them that in a little while.
Okay.
When we can get the list of attendees. So you may have seen on your screen, we had a max of 22.
Great.
So, close to what we were interested in. But boy, the quality of the people there. I mean, I know who some of them are. This was a high quality audience.
Good.
And do you have access to the chat room dialogue?
I do. Yeah.
'Cause I can pull it up. I just thought you would be interested in seeing it, and you don't have to read it right now, but particularly early on, there were just some interesting comments and
Yeah. Well, the
back
pun
and
is
forth.
funny.
Yeah, yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. And then, yeah. And Carly, assessment tools. Yeah. And then Leora had to leave. Yeah. Great. So,
And Vina is a former board member of ours.
oh, great. Good. Good. Yeah. Excellent.
Anyway, so again, our thanks. This was really, really good.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Sure. And
Yeah.
I'm just going to guess
Yeah.
that maybe a few people who attended may be contacting you for further
Yeah.
activity.
Great. Great. And, one thing that it would look a little different. But one thing, if people, if there was an interest in, and it would again have to be kind of a workshop like this, but if people wanted to do more guided conversation like we did in that small thing, we could expand that to an hour for people to do, to have more intentional conversation, at a later, if there was another thing about like, practicing coaching conversations around change, because that's what I was having them do, which they only got a tiny taste of. So,
Because, well, the thing is, and again, I'm just thinking on the fly,
yeah,
it isn't just about change. These are all, really necessary underpinnings for organizational development more
That's right.
broadly.
That's right. That's right.
So, that could be framed in any of a number of ways, and
Yeah.
you still come out with the same, information and insights at the end.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
You can go ahead and take that.
No.
Okay.
It's a spam call,
Oh, okay. All right.
and it's an extension phone, so I can just push the off button and it just rings in the other room.
There you go.
We're ready for these guys. Anyhow.
All right.
But let's think about that for the future.
Yeah. You just keep it, I really appreciate the opportunity, and you just let's just stay in touch. And then if anything, any other big question comes up, et cetera, just let me know.
Will do. That's a plan.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, thank you. Have a
Alright.
good day.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.